What is up, drummers? I'm DW and welcome to the Drum Dive, and today we're putting the kit back together. So when my teenager said she wanted to have a big old sleepover, it made sense to put everybody in the studio. That way we don't have to listen to a bunch of racket and everybody in the house could get some sleep. That being said, now I get to put it back together, and I wasn't too mad about that because I really wanted to clean things and kind of address some things in my setup. So as I walk through this, I'm going to give you my philosophies on how I set up. That way it's ergonomically friendly and I can flow around without having to think of where I'm going, let my body naturally do what it wants to, play what I want to, without hanging up a stick, catching things in the wrong spot. And then on top of that, I'm really going to make sure that this guy's efficient by what is most important. As you can see, I already set up my kick drum, my pedals, and basically the core of my kit. This whole thing is the foundation of what I'm going to build the rest of the kit off of. I won't necessarily set up my toms and then try to set these guys up around it because it's like building a house from the roof down. You want to start from the foundation and go up. And when I have these things in proper place, this really actually helps me get everything else where I need it. So that being said, if you take the time to really just sit with these few drums, your kick, snare, and your hi-hat, this is where every beat's going to be played. This is, to me, the start of everything. One of my philosophies is that if you could play it on one drum, you could play it on many, because you got to learn how to do this first before you start moving around. And that starts with ergonomics. So now as we start with this kit, one, I'm going to tell you, this is the core, and for me, this is what I should be able to do anything with. And yes, I actually have done a gig with this little drums. This, just a kick, snare, hi-hat, with the exception of one ride cymbal I could crash. No toms. And I did a 3-hour top 40 gig. It works. If you got to make it work and you really have the desire to, you can make anything work. If you notice, my bass drum's going off this way while I'm looking at you directly. The idea behind this, first off, is we're going to address something drummers don't really know about that I read in a Modern Drummer magazine years ago called twisted torso. And the idea is this. My feet are going that way, my lower half, and my upper body's going this way. What happens as drummers, we set our bass drum up facing the crowd. So my body's going to want to look at everybody, but my legs are going that way. And if you notice, there's a separation in these guys. If you want to make sure that you're sitting correctly and you haven't trained your back to pull in certain directions, next time you're sitting on the can, next time you're having dinner and you're not really thinking about it, just take a second and be like, wait, how am I sitting? Am I sitting in some slight variation of this? Because you've trained your muscles to pull yourself in this way for so long. We play drums, we practice a lot, we may play long gigs. For me, 3 to 4 hour gigs. Sometimes I'll play a 2-hour set straight, whatever. But sitting in that fashion as my main starting point will give me a twist. So over time, I learned that double bass drum players set up pretty ergonomically friendly. They have 2 bass drums and they face the crowd. If you go see me at any of my shows, you will see that my bass drum is off to the side. Reason is I'm a singing drummer and I like to see the crowd and I like to see everybody in the band, not just over here and then have to turn. I could just move my head very easily. This will make my back, your back, a lot happier at the end of a gig and also give you a good starting point to move around. I'm sitting in a comfortable, direct fashion. My pedals are set up to where I sit right around the middle of my pedal board, and that's for both of them, but I sit in a certain way to where I'm high enough my hands won't hit my knees when I'm playing. I could hit rim shots very easily, and then on top of that, I have room to slide my foot around on the pedals, all while staying balanced and not being off balance by pulling too much to one side or the other. You wouldn't think it's that big of a deal, but when you start doing it after a while, you're like, man, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. Making sure your kit really fits your body is one of those things that's really going to help you play a lot easier. It's almost actually an instant jump into getting better slightly or even a lot when you're playing things in a good spot for your body. I'm going to tell you, I'm a pretty tall guy and I got a pretty long reach. Most people don't necessarily feel too comfortable on my kit because I sit higher than normal. My drums are pushed out to a certain distance because it fits my body and how I play. So, there you go. taking this core part and building it up into something that feels really good. And mess around and play with this. You'd be surprised at the things you can come out with just from messing around with this setup. I'm also making sure I'm not dipping. I was dipping before because my snare drum was too low, so I was having to reach down to get that rim shot. As I raised it up, I could get a lot better of a rim shot. All right, so now that we got the core of the kit in place, kick, snare, and hats, let's start adding in the rest. I'm going to add the toms in first because I want all my drums to be where they are. The cymbals usually float above. And I'm going to start placing things by order of importance. All right, so now that we got our cymbals set up, and for me, I've got all 20s minus this splash, and I have an 8-inch splash right here. I'm using a 20-inch ride over here that's actually pretty light and crashable, and I like that because I'm getting more into left-handed playing now that I switched, back to match grip from traditional. I've played many setups over the years and tried many different things. I've tried the center remote hi-hat with the toms going out like Bill Bruford. I've done the 3 up, 1 down, 3 up, 2 down, 1 up, 2 down, you name it. 4-piece, 3-piece, Travis Orban setup with the hi-hat straight pedal on each side, rack tom on the left, floor tom on the right. And it's been great because it's given me the opportunity to really try new things, see what might work, and see how I can make this fit me better so I could play and express myself the way everybody else does on their own personal setup. So taking time to really work out your kit will optimize your playing, the things you hear, your movements, you're going to be more efficient, and you're probably going to even look cooler when you're doing all this stuff. Now when it comes to cymbals, I like having everything at a slant. This guy's just mainly a crash, although it's a very light ride. And I like it to have a little bit of slant because when I hit my cymbals, I like to swipe, and reason is they will last longer. You get a good sound out of them. You're not just choking them and beating the heck out of them. And having that sideways slide really actually lends you to be able to move around, and it's almost becoming a dance when you move around your kit. So keep that in mind as you set up. Let's move on and get all the extra icing on the cake. All right, so we started at the foundation, and we got the main part of the kit, the kick, the snare, and the hi-hat set in a good spot. Put the tom, started layering it with all the cymbals, and then put on, the little extra icing on the cake, and now we got our kit going. So what do you say we play this thing a little bit and see if we got everything working right? Well, there we go. I mean, it's all set up, it's all mic'd up, sounds pretty good, and I can get back to work, recording some tracks, getting some practice in, making some more videos. And, a few takeaways from this: take the time to really get yourself set up to where, you're set up for success. Everything's working, sounds pretty good. I got a few tweaks I might make here and there, move things over just a slight bit to feel a little bit more comfortable. But the idea behind this is make your kit fit you. Don't try to fit your kit because, it's endless. You can set things up however you want. If I wanted to go lefty, I could. I don't have to buy a new kit. If I want to put all my cymbals on one side and all my toms on the other, I could do whatever I want because that's the beauty of this instrument. It's a very personal instrument. A bass player friend of mine said that drums are such a personal instrument because you can do this, as to where the other instruments, you can upgrade and do whatever, but you're just going to play them the same way. But drums, possibilities are endless. So find what works for you, set up to where it works for your body and what you like. That way you can get out of your own way and maybe even get better almost instantly. So with that being said, go forth, cater your drums to yourself, express as best as you can, and happy drumming.